insurgency will rise when the blood's been sacrificed. The artist is Green Day. Welcome to episode 4 of Album Armageddon!
Hey! Welcome to episode 4 of Album Armageddon. I am your host, Cy Stevens, and joining me, as always, are my amazing co-hosts. He read the graffiti on the bathroom stool. It's Rob McCauley.
Well, did he indeed? Hello.
She's an extraordinary girl in an ordinary world. It's Cath McCauley.
Hello.
And he made a point to burn all of the photographs. It's Stu Whitehouse.
Good evening, hello, and good morning to everybody.
Hi, how are we doing?
Good.
Yeah, very well.
Very excited about this particular episode.
And that isn't even sarcasm. So what is Album Armageddon? Well, if you don't know, you clearly are not a member of our social medias, so why not go over to Facebook and Twitter and search for Album Armageddon? Don't worry, we will wait for you to get back here. Now that you've done that, you know that put simply, Album Armageddon is where we take 2 albums from a single band or artist, pair the tracks up, and discuss and decide on a winner for each track. You'll also now know that we have some rules, but in case you're in a rush to get back here, Rule 1 is obviously albums must have the same number of tracks in order for them to be matched up, so on occasion, there may be some creative licensing for this to happen. Rule 2 is no live arena or stadium tracks. These are normally found elsewhere on the album in question or on a previous album. Also, no interludes or skits, we don't like those. Rule 3, in the event of a voting tie, the host who chose the artist will have the overriding decision. Rule 4, an album can only arrive in Armageddon once. The same goes for artists unless a strong and genuine reason can be given for them to feature a second time. Rule 5, the host who chose the artist can use the Napalm Death card, which allows them to declare a track the winner, regardless of the voting result. However, this can only be used during the discussion of a track, and it can only be used once per show. At the end of the show, we will create a super album on Spotify featuring the winning tracks. As always, this is more passion than critique, so if we don't have any long, boring chats about the key of the song and such like, just our thoughts, feelings, whether we like the song or not, and occasionally some stories around the songs. As such, we do get passionate, and don't worry, Stu, I'm not going to say the word here, so if you have a ton of to edit out with our amazing hiding guitar effect, because that joke just wouldn't be funny 2 months in a row, but we will most likely drop the occasion... we will most likely drop the occasional swear word. So now that all out the way, as our intro said, this month is Green Day, and the albums are American Idiot versus 21st Century Breakdown, which was my choice.
I've got a new rule. No goddamn concept albums anymore, ever.
Ever again.
Yeah, you're going to get kicked off the show if anyone does suggest a concept album.
Well, we can have a concept album, but as long as it's a good concept. Ooh.
Yeah, but like, okay, there is that, but also give them the due. I mean, the way we put the songs together is like, how can you listen to the concept album in order when we do what we do with the competition?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a kind of a fun... It's hard and not hard, and it does throw up some confusion sometimes, just trying to tie them up together when you really need to listen to the story of the album.
Si, can you tell us more about these albums?
I can indeed. It's funny you should mention that. It's like I'm almost prepared. So, I can actually tell you about Green Day as well. They're an American rock band formed in 1987 by the vocalist guitarist Billy Joe Armstrong and the bassist Mike Dirnt. Drummer Trey Cool joined the band in 1990, replacing John Kiffmeyer before the recording of their second album, Kaplunk. I bet he's glad he left. For most of their career, they have officially been a power trio band, and since 1999 to the present day, guitarist Jason White has featured on tours, TV appearances, music videos, and albums, but ironically was only an official band member between 2012 and 2016 when they released 3 albums all at the same time called Una Dos Trey, featuring Billy Joe Armstrong on one album, Mike Dirnt on another album, and Trey Cool on the cover of the other album. So I think that was just like a practical joke on poor old Jason there. Alongside fellow Californian bands Bad Religion, The Offspring, Rancid, NoFX, Pennywise and Social Distortion, Green Day is credited with popularising mainstream interest in punk in the US, which is a huge bone of contention for me and probably all of us
They're not punk. They're not punk. They're not effing punk.
They're not punk in the slightest. They're not our definition of punk. American punk, and
they're not our definition.
Yeah.
But then, what is the definition of punk? It's angry people who they're upset about politics, and that's very much
The
Green
system,
Day. They're a
man.
very political band,
yeah.
both musically and in other things that they do. They're really, they're all activists and stuff. So if your definition of punk is musicians who are politically
Angry.
opinionated, then yeah, they are.
Yeah, but so's Donald Trump, and he's not punk.
He's not a musician.
He plays a mean nasal trombone, I
He
heard.
does the greatest music, the greatest, the best.
Ask anyone.
Green Day has sold more than 75 million records worldwide, making them one of the world's best-selling artists, and have won 5 Grammy Awards from 20 nominations, which I'm sure Robbie's completely shocked at, looking at his face. The band was originally called Sweet Children, but to avoid confusion with another band in the area called Sweet Baby, the band adopted the phrase Green Day, which was slang in the Bay Area for spending a day doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Billy Joe Armstrong admitted in 2001 that he considered it to be the worst band name in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
That's he's selling himself there, isn't he?
It's up there with the Flowers of Romance.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow. That's bad.
So, onto the albums. American Idiot is the 7th studio band by Green Day, and in the early 2000s, Green Day was working on a record called Cigarettes and Valentines. But when it was almost complete, the master tapes were mysteriously stolen from the studio overnight. And instead of re-recording the album, the band decided that the theft was a sign that the album was not their best possible work. They started from scratch and American Idiot was born. The result was a more societally critical, politically charged record which returned to the band's punk rock sound, following the more folk and pop-powered inspired Warning, which additional influences that were not explored on their older albums. A concept album dubbed a punk rock opera by the band members, American Idiot follows the story of Jesus of Suburbia, a lower middle class American adolescent anti-hero. The album expresses the disillusionment and dissent of a generation that came of age in a period shaped by the events such as 9/11 and the Iraq War. In order to accomplish this, the band used unconventional techniques for themselves, including transitions between connected songs and some very long, chaptered creative compositions. Surprisingly, the songs from Cigarettes and Valentines were never, ever leaked by the thief. And the urban legend is that this is because, whilst not being happy with the overall album, it was Billy Joe Armstrong himself that stole the master tapes.
Ah. But was it ever proved?
It's never been proved, never been disproved. It's like the Loch Ness Monster.
That's real.
It is. I've seen pictures.
Unless the thief just heard it and went, "What is this shit?"
Especially if it wasn't
I've
their
got to
best work.
save the world.
Burn it.
Yeah.
American Idiot was the 22nd greatest album of the decade, according to Rolling Stone, and the 225th greatest album of all time by the same magazine. It was also deemed the #1 best rock album of the 2000s by Kerrang, if you remember
What?
Kerrang.
What?
What a
Yeah.
load of horseshit.
Wow.
Green Day drew inspiration from Chinese communist propaganda that the band saw in art galleries on Melrose Avenue and recorded artist Chris Bellheimer to create the cover. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The band aimed for the cover to be at once uniform and powerful, and is inspired by a lyric from one of the songs, which we'll come to later. 21st Century Breakdown, however, is the 8th studio album. It followed American Idiot a few years later. It's also a concept rock opera, much like American Idiot, and Armstrong has himself described the album as a snapshot of the era in which we live as we question and try to make sense of the selfish manipulation going on around us, whether it be the government, religion, media, or frankly, any form of authority. Yeah, you tell them, Billy Joe. 21st Century continues the rock opera style, and the album is set in Detroit and is divided into 3 acts, and its narrative follows a young couple named Christian and Gloria through the challenges present in the US following the presidency of George W. Bush. It was deemed the 5th best album of 2009. I would love to see what else
Bad
was
year,
released in 2009. And it was the 17th best album of the 21st century, according to Kerrang. Kerrang is not the magazine I remember.
No. No, it isn't.
The The album artwork process was again led by Mr. Chris Bielheimer and is based on a work from Artist 16, who confirmed that the couple on the cover were just friends of a friend at a party in Sweden.
Wow.
It did cause controversy, as a lot of people marked the similarity between Blur's 2003 album Think Tank, which was done by Banksy himself.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Diving
I can
helmets
see
on.
that. Yeah, of course. I can see that now, yeah. So
And
I'm looking at the album cover now. Yeah.
You can see it once it's one of those things that once you see, you can't unsee.
Yeah.
So before we really begin
You
the
can't
track
unhear it either.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think I've hit a winner with this one, haven't I? Before we begin the track battles, there's a little bit of creative license in this month again, as always. So what we've done is we've removed Song of the Century from 21st Century Breakdown, as it's just a sub 1 minute intro to the album. And we've also added When It's Time from the American Idiot? The American Idiot Broadway musical soundtrack as track 9 of American Idiot, as that's roughly the songs in between in the musical as well. So, what's your histories with Green Day? We'll start off with Cath, as she's got a big bucket of scorn to get rid of through the show.
Well, I remember when Green Day first sort of made it big, because I was of the age that enjoys that sort of music, and I loved their album Dookie, and I think possibly the one after that. So I really loved Green Day when I was a teenager, and then sort of, I don't know, stopped listening to that sort of music, I guess, grew up, which they've not done. But then, was aware of American Idiot because it was on the radio and it just was quite commercial. But yeah, I got a soft spot for Green Day because of, remembering them from my childhood. And yeah, I spent a bit of time trying to watch videos and just seeing what they're up to now and watching interviews and stuff. And they just seem like the typical sort of punk, in air quotes, band, in that they don't want to grow up and, they're still rebelling and stuff like that. And I guess being American, there is actually quite a lot to rebel against politically, which is why I sort of defend the fact that they call themselves punks, because I think that they probably are just American and not sort of how we understand punk in the UK.
Yeah, I probably would agree with that. They do piss on your memories a little bit when you go back and listen to the tracks over and over. Stu, what's your history of Green Day? Are they? Because I know you love a guitar-orientated band.
I have no history of Green Day, to be fair. This has been a journey, if you ask me. However, it really does seem like to be fair, I don't like them, but I don't dislike them. They're just a bit. My main memories of them really is they're three. Well, they've got 6 Beat Saber songs and they're ace.
Oh, okay.
And 3 of them are actually on the songs what we're reviewing as well.
Which
So
songs?
American Idiot, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and Holiday. And they are great Beat Saber songs
They
as well.
are amazing Beat Saber songs.
So I'm going to keep on saying Beat Saber because, and then one tracks might even win because of Beat Saber, so.
Beat Saber? What?
It's
Beat Saber?
VR game.
Yeah, it's a video game.
Oh, I see.
With lightsabers.
Okay. Ah, right, gotcha. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm 50 now, and how old was I when they came out? Probably about mid-20s, late into the 20s. They just didn't. They sort of passed me by, really. I knew of them. I mean, they got a lot of radio play and things like that, but they were the kind of not punk I'd never listened to anyway. So
yeah.
And I don't know. I understand your definition of what punk is about being politically charged, but this cynical Stu is going, they're not that politically charged. They are very overproduced and very formulaic, and you can see that they actually catered to a very particular audience. However, what the fuck do I know? If you look on Spotify, they have 29 million monthly listeners. 29 million?
They are very popular.
So that's 10% of America listen to Green Day a
Wow.
month.
Well, that's
okay.
if one person listens. I mean, I'm sure there's one person who listens to multiple tracks.
I mean, I'm quite sure we've added to that number a fair bit this
massively.
last few months.
But unfortunately, on the podcast, I can't show my pie charts.
Okay then, Mr. Pie Charts. How was your life with Green Day or without Green Day?
Well, I know two things about Green Day. None of them are particularly insightful in terms of my own catalogue with Green Day. I remember the track Basket Case. I remember the video for that. And I also remember that Billy Joe Armstrong had a meltdown at some festival when he was given 1 minute left to play. If you've not seen that video, I highly recommend that on YouTube.
Watch it after
It's most
recording.
entertaining.
Yeah.
For a
During
link
which,
to it in the description.
yeah, he was complaining about having a minute left to play, and in that minute he could have played a quick song, but instead of which he just ranted for a minute. Musically, I've never heard them before, apart from that track. They've always been a name sort of on the periphery for me. I was never the greatest punk fan anyway. I think my dipping into punk sort of was probably Bad Brains, and that was about it in their early days. Yeah, I just, in terms of being punk, I just don't know how you can be punk if you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a caveat, doesn't it?
I mean, here I am by my pool, sipping cocktails, my pool that's full of money. What shall I be upset about today? So, yeah.
It's not just that, though. It's not just that. It's what I find disturbing is that they're all in their 50s and they're singing about teenage problems.
Well, as we're probably going to come to, they are, I have to concede, experts at trying to get themselves on the radio.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Back to you, Si.
Yeah, so my history of Green Day is I liked Green Day, like pretty much when Dookie and Nimrod came out. I kind of lost interest when they went into like more of a folky power pop ballad when they did things like Time of Your Life.
Oh, yeah.
And then I kind of lost interest in them, and I think I was watching Transformers, and they had one of their songs was on that, and I was like, oh, that's a good song. Who's that? And it's like, oh, Green Day. Oh, and just went... And I fell back in love with them, went to see the musical, loved the musical, and then put them forward for this. And I kind of liked the songs enough that it was hard to choose between songs.
Sorry. Did you say you went to see the musical?
Yeah, there is an American Idiot musical which kind of merges songs from both American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. That's one of the reasons that I picked those two albums, because it kind of makes the musical.
You had to see it through choice.
Wow.
Yeah, through choice. The problem I had with this was because I liked the songs so much, I had to try and find reasons not to like them, to like chick between tracks. And then I got to the point of really hating the fucking tracks.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
And it was like, I then had to try and go back and work out why I like these tracks. And it was like, it became hard.
Wow.
Si, you've given yourself an existential problem here.
Yeah, totally.
Be interesting when he uses Napalm Death card. What's going to be used on that one?
2 songs at the same time. Okay, so we begin with these battles. Starting off with track 1 versus track 1, which was American Idiot versus 21st Century Breakdown. First time we've ever had a title track versus title track on Album Armageddon.
Right.
Our American Idiot is a scathing takedown of American culture in the years following 9/11. Released as the first single from the album, it has since become one of Green Day's biggest hits and most recognisable songs. The song heavily criticised the state of the United States circa 2004 during the presidential campaign in which George W. Bush was re-elected. With lines referencing the danger of a new biased media, it was also the first single from the album. That's going up against 21st Century Breakdown, which was the 4th single on the album, strangely. And 21st Century Breakdown presents the main theme of the album, namely how there's been a breakdown in the first decade of the century. Billy Joe Armstrong told Q magazine that it goes from a song about where I come from to what it's like to be in this era financially. That's interesting. It represents an underdog spirit in a really strange time. Exciting because it's the first African-American president, a smart man who wants to do a good job, a man who's inheriting the biggest pile of shit this country has ever seen since the Depression. People are losing their jobs, yet have a smile on their face. So this record is about that and the start of another era. The song also serves as the backstory of the character Christian. So, let's go over to Stu.
Hello. Right. Well, American Idiot, that had a lot of radio play, and as I say, it's a Beat Saber staple as well. So, and it's got, I don't know, it has got a great guitar start, and the toms and it just like delivers the song really well in that sense. Lyrically delivery, it's all right. I don't find them. I'm sorry. Every single one of their songs, I can't. Okay, I can see political rantings but I'm just so cynical. They just don't mean. There's plenty of other American bands who can be political and be quite successful, and I do think they're genuine. I just don't think this is. Maybe I've never listened to the really early stuff, and maybe that's why. And this is just a natural progression going up. So American Idiot to me is just so. I've heard it so many times on the radio, probably, and around, and I say it's a good Beat Saber song. 21st Century Breakdown, though. The one thing I really liked about this, there's so many different styles in this song. It does flick between. Now, there is one thing in these all albums, because they're the concept albums or whatever, and the way, and as I say, we've said in the beginning, the way we're putting them against each other is a bit weird as well. But also the songs, which are concept songs within themselves, which are fucked up in my opinion. This isn't one of them. It's just using different styles, so it's still one song, but just using different styles, which I quite liked in that sense. To me, it started off like an indie kind of way, like a Weezer, very loosely, by the way, these names I'm using. And then the mid was a little bit like ELO Queen, kind of, and then ended like a Kiss song. It was just I found it more interesting out of American Idiot in that one. So my vote goes for 21st Century Breakdown.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stu. That's interesting. What about you, Cath? Where do you lie on this one?
Well, so, yeah, same as Stu said, that, we're all really familiar with American Idiot because it was on the radio so much. It's, quite a nice high energy song, very distinctive guitar riff throughout, and it's got lots of cursing in it, so, that's quite amusing as well. The lyrics are entertainingly angry, but the song never really feels that aggressive. It just feels almost a parody.
Yeah. I agree.
But it's okay. I can listen to it. It doesn't offend me. The other one, 21st Century Breakdown. So I don't think I'd heard that one before. And I thought that the opening was quite unusual. It didn't really sound like a sort of a Green Day intro to a song, which made me wonder, maybe sort of hope that they were doing something a little bit different. But then the guitars kicked in and it just went into the normal sort of bollocks, really.
They remembered they were Green Day.
I didn't really like the slower pace of this song or the melody of it, although I felt that maybe Adamant was a bit of an influence with this, like certainly with the drums. But it just sounded like a nursery rhyme to me, and it was just a bit shit, sort of American power guitar ending and stuff like that. So my vote is going to go with American Idiot.
Okay, Rob.
Hello. Right, so bearing in mind this is my first actual listen through of Green Day ever, it's been quite interesting reading my own notes back because it's like a conversation with myself. So we start off quite naively with American Idiot, where I like the opening riff. For some reason, I did not like the kick drum. I wanted it to come in with a real oomph, and it didn't quite. I did not like the chorus. But straight away, I noticed that the drummer's actually got a few chops. He's got quite a few drum fills on the first one, which I quite liked. I thought it's the single. I know. I'm hoping that the rest of the album isn't like this. For both tracks, I found it lyrically, I was disassociated from it because it's about America. and I don't have a vested interest in the political situation, so they sort of cancelled each other out. So yeah, American Idiot was all right. 21st Century Breakdown, I asked myself, was this a single? Clearly it was. I thought way too commercial for my tastes, and the riff was so cookie cutter. It was so cookie cutter. But midway through, like Cath said, we get this great tribal drum fill, and I'm like, hey, this drummer, he's got some skills, man. Push him forward a bit. But at the end of it, we get some sort of Queen-style outro, and the cheese fest of lyrics. And may I quote, "Oh, dream, America, dream. Jesus Christ." However, as the opening salvo, I actually thought 21st Century Breakdown had a bit more interest, and I think it was probably because of the tribal drums in the middle. So 21st Century Breakdown gets the first card from me.
Ooh.
Go on then, Si.
Yeah, I mean, going from what you said there, is that some of the lyrics on both these albums are incredibly lazy. Some of them are really nice, but some of them are incredibly lazy to the point of he's got a word he's finished a sentence with and he's trying to find something to rhyme it with.
I've got some lovely examples.
And when you couple that with the interpolation that this band has, is unreal for a lot of tracks. But we'll come on to that more on it. For these two tracks, I mean, what can you say about American Idiot? It is synonymous with Green Day. And it will probably be most people's pick with if you're asked to name a Green Day song, I think the masses would probably pick American Idiot just because of the commercialization of it. Mm. It's probably got one of the most recognizable intros in American rock music. And as an album launcher, that intro is good. But yeah, it kind of falls flat when the drums kick in. Mm. It tries to punchline. I'm not quite sure it gets there, but it does kind of set the tone for the album. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. 21st Century Breakdown, however, is clearly the song in 3 movements, and I think it highlights the improvement Green Day have made within having songs in movements than they did, because they tried it on American Idiot, which we will come to later on, and failed fucking miserably. And but in this one, they kind of got it. But I do hear other songs in that, and it's like when they go into the second movement, you kind of hear the guitar solo from Kiss's versions of "God Gave Rock and Roll to You." The way it rises up, it's just weird. It's like, I don't know if they're trying to. Are they trying to do that? Are they trying to highlight as many of influences as possible in the album, or is it they just? There's only so many chords you can do in so many orders. Ask Ed Sheeran, he knows all about that. I really do like 21st Century Breakdown as a standalone song and a song that hints at what's to come. But I'm not sure it's as strong as album opener as American Idiot. So I am going to go with a...
Go on.
Fuck it, 21st Century Breakdown's going to go.
Hey.
Wrong choice.
But they're all going to be the wrong choice, Cath.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
All right, next up we have the amazing, I'm waiting for Cath's reaction to this one, Jesus of Suburbia, which was the 5th single on American Idiot. This song presents the album's main character, Jesus of Suburbia, and who is a disgruntled youth who is dealing with the economy and wartime policies with drugs and denial. Over the course of this song, he revels in his life and slowly starts to hate himself and his friends. Emerging from Billy Joe Armstrong's Wish to Write, are we ready? Are we sitting comfortably, Stu? His Wish to Write, the Bohemian Rhapsody of the future. The song is divided into 5 parts with differences in speed and sound, and to the point of poor old Mike Dirnt, when they perform it live, has to change his bass tuning between the last 3 movements.
Cry me a river.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to do fuck all.
No, his guitar tech
who gives him a guitar.
Know Your Enemy is what it's going up against, which was the first single from 21st Century Breakdown, and is a very politically charged song and discusses the distrust of the system and how to fight said system. So, knowing how long this song is, I've been waiting for this. So, Cath, what do you think of Jesus of Suburbia and Know Your Enemy?
Fucking 9 minutes and 18 seconds of my life. I'm not going to get back listening to that 5-part song. So, yeah, too long, in my opinion. I thought, yeah, Jesus of Suburbia, fuck off. It's just some disgruntled kid. It's, nothing interesting. Some little American shit who's so hard done by. Do me a favour. Anyway, the song, I thought the melody was quite fun and catchy. I thought the lyrics were interesting and slightly less shit than I was expecting. But, it's just too teenage angsty, really, that song. And I didn't like the sort of the anthemic guitar before the I don't care if you don't care bit went on forever. Oh, just yeah. I wanted to fall asleep, but I couldn't because of the assault on my hearing. So Know Your Enemy. What did I like about it? Not a lot. What did I dislike about it? So I didn't like the drumming because it reminded me of another song that I couldn't quite recall. But it kind of, it just went a little bit AC/DC, which is another shit band. The harmonic Do You Know the Enemy vocals at the beginning was irritating. And I just found the melody cheesy and boring. So they're both quite shit. I guess it's hard to... Can I not vote on one? Because I don't like either of them.
Which one do you like least?
Oh, no. No, it's not which one's which... Well... It's not whether they're good or not, it's which one's better.
Well, I'm very loath to pick a song just because it's not as long as the other song. But I feel like Jesus of Suburbia is the better song just because I sort of can recall it more than the other one and it irritated me slightly less. So sadly, I'm going to have to go with that.
These are going to be fantastic box quotes. I'll tell you.
I don't think they're coming to Album Armageddon to sell their next album, are they?
Probably not.
Yeah. Jesus of Suburbia.
Jesus of Suburbia is. Robbie, what are your thoughts on this epic?
Okay, so can I say, first of all, quick disclaimer, I didn't realise that this was a concept album until I got to track 13. Track 13. No, track 12.
Right.
Track 13, which I'll talk more about later. So, Jesus of Suburbia. So I started to dislike the vocalist at this point. It was just
Two songs in.
3 songs.
Yeah. 2 songs.
2 songs in.
Second song.
Yeah. We're on the third.
It's so American college radio.
Yeah.
And I felt myself thinking, go whoever. So the riffs on that, well, I started by saying I didn't like the riffs, but then later on I found I was just bouncing from here to there to everywhere in 9 minutes. So I thought the drummer seemed to be the shining light so far, and again on this. There's a middle 8 in there that's like Queen. The riffs after the bit that Cath didn't like, the lyrics I don't care if you don't care, I actually quite like the riffs after that. And what they should have done is just built a 3-minute song around that, not knowing that this was part of a rock opera. But because they're a pop punk band, I don't think they know what to do in terms of transitions and segueing and building a thing of 9 minutes. If we're talking Iron Maiden or a prog rock band or something, they know, it's part of the format of doing a long song. But this just seems to be songs welded together. Different ideas welded together to make a 9-minute song, and I don't know why they did it. There was a good bit. He had a nice turn of phrase with "and I leave behind this hurricane of fucking lies," and I really like the way he sang that. Again, they could have just built something around that. And then after that, it goes into some GNR Guns N' Roses piano piece. So I was just so confused by what was going on. It was like lurching from. Musically and lyrically, it was lurching from, oh, that's quite a good idea, into, that's a terrible idea, you should have stayed with that previous idea. So, yeah, it just was bouncing all over the place. Know Your Enemy, pure college radio, horrible harmony, poor riffs, chorus was annoying, I wrote the guitar solo stinks, And then I wrote, ooh, 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 no, exclamation mark.
Was that a lyric from the song as well?
But the funny thing is, so if they're being politically charged and angsty, but yet everything seems to be predicated on how many songs can we get played on the radio, which just seems a bit of an opposite thing to me. Anyway, so for the purposes of the winning track, I'm going to choose Jesus of Suburbia because I want people at home to listen to this so that they get the full story of why this is a 9-minute virtual ping pong table of musical ideas.
Bohemian Rhapsody, it is not.
No, so Jesus of Suburbia for the win.
Okie dokie. Stu, with that bombshell that this is the Bohemian Rhapsody of his generation,
Well,
what are your thoughts?
That's fucking nonsense in itself. But I really like that song. I'm sorry, everybody. I thought it was all right. It was. I wouldn't say it's a brilliant song. I mean to say I don't really like, Green Day, but right out the two, this Jesus Suburbia gets my vote because I'll go to Know Your Enemy. Know Your Enemy is just okay. It's okay, but against Jesus Suburbia, that's the better song out of the two. That's simple in the competition of which is the better song out of the two. Jesus Suburbia is the better of the two, but it's okay. It's just to me the lyrics are just quite monotonous in Know Your Enemy. It's just go on, whatever. But I think this is their first. I think this may be the first time, or what I've realised, this is a concept song within a song. So you got the album, which is the concept, and this is the song. So it's split into 5 parts, and each part is very different from the first part. I know what you were saying about why did they bother and all that kind of thing, but I don't know. I'm going to put myself in a musician's point of view now. Like you write what you write. Now, cynically, yes, this to me is not a radio song. How can it be? It's 9 minutes long. So in a way, that why would they write it if they didn't really want to do this? So there's some bits in it, like part 3, I don't care. A good vibe in the drumming at this part. They're a little bit repetitive, but I do. This is what Cath didn't like. I did quite like the PA speaking bit, so I just did. And also I can imagine, mate. Si might jump onto this, so sorry if I might steal your thunder a little. But they had some good stereo bouncing on the 4th part of this song, which I noticed. The snare and the bass guitar on the left, and the guitar and the other guitar on the right. So that was quite nice. And it was, I do agree though with Robbie that the piano was a bit G&R, and that didn't really need to be there. So, but Jesus Suburbia does get my vote.
Okay. Well, if you own American Idiot on vinyl, which I unfortunately do, it's at this point you notice that the album was written clearly at the time that CD was the most prominent medium. Because literally side A's done after this song.
Oh, right.
2 songs in, you're getting up again to flip your...
Is that it? We're finished then?
Unfortunately not. And as much as Billy J. Armstrong wanted to write the new Bohemian Rhapsody, did he do that? Did he? Fuck.
No.
What he did write, though, I think, was a very, very good musical track. And what I mean by that is it progresses a story greatly in one song, albeit it's 9 minutes long. Much like you would see in like a West End or Broadway musical, it progresses the story very quickly without taking up too much time of the show. I love the drum fills at the end of the Jesus of Suburbia section, the first section, as well. Know Your Enemy is more of an upbeat anthem rocker type song. It's not really the punk that you... American punk or British punk, whatever punk you want to choose, it's not really that at all. And it utilizes a similar military-like marching beat of the rhythm in Bikini Kill's Pussy Whipped. But fuck me, it's repetitive.
Yes. Yeah.
However, one thing I hate about this version of Jesus of Suburbia is the Dearly the Beloved section. And it's just the one part, it's that chime that's on it.
Yeah.
It just rips me out of it. It's more like a fucking school assembly when the uncoordinated kid was given the triangle to play. But the Broadway musical version of this, obviously it's about 3 friends in the musical. deciding to leave their hometown. And both Dearly Beloved and Tales of Another Broken Home, the third and the fifth section, is given to the girlfriend of one of the friends, so it's more feminine. It's where the third part is where she discovers she's pregnant, and the fifth part is where she announces to him as they're about to leave that she's pregnant. And it makes it fit so much better as they're more pained and softer sections. But that's not the version we have, so I've got to keep the annoying fucking triangle or repetitive lyrics. The lyrics from Know Your Enemy did give us the intro to this episode as well, so they can't all be bad.
You do realise it's 3-0 and your opinion is
I've
neither
got
here nor
that
there.
Napalm
Oh, unless you play your card. Yeah, that's true.
All opinions matter, Robbie.
No, I think I'm going to go for the clean sweep. I think, even with the length of it, I think because... I mean, this was the first time they tried doing the concept, and they weren't very good at it. It wasn't Bohemian Rhapsody of the future. But you can see where they were going, or trying to get to, I think, by some of the songs on 21st Century Breakdown. So Jesus Suburbia is getting it for me as well.
4-0.
I think that's a clean sweep.
It is.
It is.
Okay, next up we have Holiday, which was the third single from American Idiot, versus Viva La Gloria. Holiday is an anti-war anthem that criticises America's war in Iraq, while at the same time reflecting and building up American Idiot's main character. The track continues the tale of Jesus' suburbia as he leaves his suburban home and ventures into the city. Viva La Gloria is where the album's story between the two protagonists, Christian and Gloria, truly kicks in. The song introduces Gloria as a rebellious figure, similar to What's Her Name from American Idiot, and a third of the way through it changes perspectives and introduces Christian as a man looking for something to believe in, who not only loves but reveres Gloria as if she were his messiah. So, Rob, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, on the back of Jesus of Suburbia, I was then straight into another 8-minute challenge. So... After 3 minutes, I sort of thought, okay, it's a fair track, it's okay. Again, we've got the American lyrics, so I'm sort of out of that. I don't get the deal because I'm not in America. Yeah, it was a fair track. And Viva La Gloria. So the intro sounded like Live and Let Die. And then I just wondered if that's what happens to a band when they feel like they've exhausted their format. In terms of, they were a punk band, they've done some albums before, it just felt like they're sort of running out of ideas. And then the harmonies on Gloria vexed me greatly. And add to that the number of times I had to hear the word Gloria in one song, which I had lost count. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Holiday, easy win for me.
Okay, Stu.
Right, my notes. Right, I remember Holiday being played a lot as well, but was it one of those songs where everybody was singing because they always thought it was about a holiday and going on holiday? It was nice hot weather, and so go on holiday. And actually, it's an anti-war song about Iraq.
No, you're getting confused with the Scorpions' Holiday.
Sorry. So I don't know. I think it's a great little song, Holiday, but it is way overplayed. I've heard it. For somebody who doesn't really listen to Green Day, I've heard that so many songs, so many times. Again, a Beat Saber staple, so it's good in that sense. Really overplayed, but I liked it because there was a lot of energy in there. But I completely agree with Robbie's statements here. Gloria is just the music is okay. It's just lyrically right at the start as well, the piano intro, a little bit simple. I didn't, you know what, that was really good, Robert. I didn't even click it was a James Bond thing, but you're right. I just had a quick little listen. I went, oh yeah, so it is.
Yeah.
But when it kicks in, it goes and it's fine. And right at the very end, there was some nice little paradiddles and that on the drum. So again, the drummer just showing off kind of thing, and it goes in that kind of style as well. But again, sure, Holiday gets my vote. I think out of the two songs, it's actually a better song. And Gloria, it's just annoying. The annoying repetitive of Gloria. Oh no, thank you.
Okay. Cath, what are your thoughts on dear old Gloria off on holiday?
Well, so I think, I'll start with Viva La Gloria. So I completely agree with Rob. It sounds like Live and Let Die. And I actually thought, it sounds like Live and Let Die by Guns N' Roses. I remember that track. Wow, it's been ages since I've heard that. I think I'm going to listen to that instead. So I listened to that instead. And then came back to listen to the rest of Viva La Gloria. It didn't go on for too long, which was good. But it just wasn't very good. So... yeah, no, I can't even remember much about it, to be honest.
That's short to the
point. Holiday. So I think this is a brilliant song. I really liked it. I think it's got really good pace. I like the melody. I like the energy. I thought the songwriting was really good on it as well. The only thing that I think lets it down is the sort of the weird, like the hey in the backing singer, hey, because they're so punk and they do that, but they put a weird sort of effect on the voice as well, so it just sounds a bit strange. They don't need to do that. But yeah, I really like that song, so Holiday gets my vote.
Wow. Save for that, everybody. Cath actually really liked the song.
A song.
But then, hang on. But in there, she also took it down a peg or two, so, you know.
The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Hey, look, there are 34 songs in this comparison, so if you throw enough darts...
I mean, for me, this is American punk. And, like, we've already discussed why it's American punk, not proper punk. It's more a poppy punk. And as much as we're slating them and what they're like, poppy punk, Green Day are very, very good at it. They seem to, they know what is going to sell and what's going to hit the charts, what's going to be getting played on the radio, what's going to appeal to kids. It's melodic, it's shouty, it's catchy, it's Green Day. That's pretty much Holiday in a nutshell. Viva La Gloria is almost a complete opposite for the first minute of the song, with just like Billy Joe's vocals backed purely by that piano. I mean, piano, Green Day? That's...
Yeah.
After that, it goes into a more riffy, shouty song when it changes its perspective into Christian's perspective when they remember their Green Day and need to have guitars playing. But I think it's going to be Holiday, as it's more consistent than Viva La Gloria. And Viva La Gloria is just almost like two songs crashed together to give that perspective of the two protagonists of their album story. So yeah, for me, Holiday. Another
fair call.
Clean sweep. Next up, we have the iconic Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which was the second single from the album, versus Before the Labotomy. Boulevard of Broken Dreams sees the album's main character aimlessly roaming the city streets with nothing to do and nowhere to go, after leaving his hometown and venturing into the city. Jesus has come down from his excitement to find that he's surrounded by strangers completely alone in an unfamiliar environment. It's a bit like Cath listening to the album.
Somebody help.
The realization that he has no one pushes Jesus to his emotional breaking point and drives him to borderline insanity. Definitely like Cath listening to this album. It sold over 5 million copies as of the 1st of September 2009. It was Green Day's most successful song on the Billboard charts, peaking at number 2 on the Hot 100. It also won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 2006.
What happened in 2006? Was it just like no one else released an album or something?
I know, because was it 2006 they won something else as well for that year as well, which was like crazy.
Jesus.
For Before the Labotomy, if you remember the last lines of Viva La Gloria, if you hadn't turned off there, was "Tell me the story of your life." Being from Christian's perspective, well, this is pretty much it. It's Gloria's story that he asked for. Much like 21st Century Breakdown was Christian's story. Problem is, she can't remember much. She didn't get a literal lobotomy, but joining life with Christian, apparently, being an extremist revolutionary leader, has wiped away most of her fond dreams and memories, and the brutal sadness of reality has washed away the time of her family, even laughter and a more fulfilling life. Christian sang the eulogy is in a way referring back to the start of Viva La Gloria, as Billy Joe Armstrong said, but also Christian basically killed the person Gloria was, and she has morphed into someone completely different since initially meeting him. Happy stuff. So, Cath.
Hi.
Are we gonna still like Green Day songs, or are we back to the
Boulevard of Broken Dreams? So I really liked the beginning of it because it reminded me of Rage Against the Machine's Know Your Enemy, where it kind of goes. I like that, but then it sort of just didn't really do much.
Okay, I want to hear a cover version now of you, but doing it with.
So the song would have you believe that whoever it's about, that punk kid guy, is on their own and they're walking down the street. But I actually watched a video to this song because I just wanted to do a bit more homework on it. And all three members of the band are walking down the street, so they're not alone. And also, it was quite funny because the first bit of the song, they get out the car and comically kick the tyre of their broken down car. Like, fuck that car. And they kick it because they're so punk and rebellious. So that's what I liked about it. What I didn't like about it was that I wasn't sure if he was walking alone or not because he wasn't clear on that. It's not like he mentioned it all the fucking time. Really repetitive. Didn't like it. So before the Labotomy, I thought the story about this song was quite interesting. So I sort of learnt a bit about that. Howard Dully being the first kid, well, he was 12 years old when his stepmother forced him to have a transorbital lobotomy. So I thought that was, one of the youngest people to survive the procedure. And I thought I really liked the start of the song because it's nice and acoustic and quite a nice melody, but then it goes shit and it turns into Green Day stadium band, power chords, bullshit, cheese. So again, really don't know which one I want to vote for because I didn't like either of them.
You got to get off that fence.
Well, because I guess because I watched the video of the first one and I liked. I like the beginning of the second one as well. I'm going to go for the second one just because I like what it was about. But
okay.
And I like the acoustic bit. So yeah, Before the Labotomy gets my vote.
Okay. Stu, are you walking alone?
Okay, so where are we? Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Right, okay. A great staple of Beat Saber, yet again. Good musical break in the middle, really. It's been overplayed many, many, many times. No, it's quite weird, actually. Maybe it's the kind of person I am, but I find it hard to follow the characters in this album because they've got like really rubbish names like Jesus Surburbia or What's Her Face or you know or Chris and I get all muggled up. I don't know who's who and where they're going. Yeah, Chris or Jack or Barry and so get all there. So I get a little bit of list on there, but I get there in the end. And it's an okay song, but it's been overplayed. Before the Labotomy, Jesus Christ! So now I'm going to expand on what Cath just said. That is the most traumatic fucking shit I've ever heard. This kid who's had a lobotomy. But Cath, did you read about his stepmother and why he had one?
From what I read, I think that she just couldn't really be bothered to parent him properly. No,
this is exactly so. According to Freeman's notes, Freeman's the doctor, Lou, who is his stepmom, feared for a stepson who described as a defiant and savage looking. Quote, he didn't react either to love or punishment. He objects to going to bed, but then sleeps well. He does a good deal of daydreaming, and then asks, and then when asked about it, he says he doesn't know. He turns on the lights in a room when it's light outside. He's just like a normal bloody kid.
He's a teenager.
And you're going to have a fucking lobotomy. It was. I'll tell you, I went down a complete rabbit hole with this and I saw pictures and it was fucking horrible. And don't look it up. It's horrible. But I will post a link. So, like, back to the actual song itself. I found it far more musically interesting than where are we? Boulevard of Broken Dreams. That's it. I don't know. I just found it a bit more. Maybe I was because I was so invested in the actual meaning of the song, and and all the other bits and bobs. It's just absolutely cool. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to vote for Before the Labotomy. That's my vote.
Ooh, okay. So one thing as well that you keep mentioning Beat Saber, both of these albums featured on Green Day Rock Band as well.
So hold on, Green Day rock band.
Yes.
I mean, what is the level structure there?
Power chords. Lots and lots of power chords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, right, I mastered that. Done.
Not rock band orientated. What was your thoughts on the songs, Rob?
Well, thank you. So while we were talking, I just looked up how many times Gloria is mentioned on Viva La Gloria, and she's mentioned 29 times.
Right.
Which is rather excessive, isn't it? So Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Nice guitar effect, as Cath said, to start with. It just smacked of Lighters in the Air for me. But it wasn't terrible as a Lighters in the Air track. Again, we've got that cheese coming. I walk alone, I walk alone. Do you walk alone? I walk alone. Are they walking alone? I'm walking alone. But the thing that I did like about this song was the instrumental ending. I thought the riffs were big and nice and kind of epic sounding, and I liked that, and I wanted more of that, and I was hoping I would get more of that as the album went on. So yeah, that was I thought that hinted at some other stuff that they could be doing that would appeal to my ear a bit more. Before the Labotomy, so God, yeah, I mean, the problem is you've got this heavy goddamn topic. I mean, it doesn't get much heavier than this. But then it's presented like a college radio. And it just blew my mind. It was like, why are you trying to make everything get on the radio? I mean, this is a heavy tune, man. And it should sound heavy and dark and bit twisted, but
didn't pay the bills, Robbie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but so this is it. So if you have 2 or 3 massive hits and your album is a hit, then you've got the creative space to do something else with the rest of your album. You don't need to make every single song a potential single, because it just devalues. There's just ends up being no depth to it. So before the 2 suspects here are the chorus on Before the Labotomy, pure radio fest, and then a sort of Queen-style guitar again in there. And I thought, this is totally at odds with the lyrical content. The delivery is completely different. And to me, it just sounded like a System of a Down offcut. Obviously, they were around before System of a Down, I think, with this album. But because of that big, fat ending to Boulevard of Broken Dreams, that got it for me. So that takes my vote.
So one for Boulevard.
Okay.
Ooh.
There you go.
Oh, it's decision time. Right, so Boulevard of Broken Dreams, it merges straight into Boulevard from Holiday, with the last note of Holiday forming the start of Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And I think that's one of the reasons why Spotify has a little fit when it comes to this song and joins the 2 of them together. If you look at the track listing, it's a joint track, but nowhere else is it actually joined apart from on Spotify.
Huh.
I love the ending, a bit like you, Rob. I love the ending of Boulevard where the guitars just go into a much darker place. They hit much more through the song. It is one of my favourite Green Day songs.
Okay.
That's a short list, considering. Let's reword that. It was one of my most favourite Green Day songs. Before the Labotomy is so simple. It's just so fucking simple. It's another exposed first verse before the guitar and drums kick in. We've done this already.
Yeah.
And it's a basic guitar riff with basic drums with some feels that kind of work, and it kind of complements the album story of the song, but not the source material type thing. And it does kind of feel like it's a few songs crashed together and that the sections are so different. However, and this is going to be hugely controversial.
Here we go.
Even though Boulevard is one of Green Day's most successfully mainstream songs, I'm going for Labotomy for one reason. And it's I can't hear the start of Boulevard of Broken Dreams without hearing Wonderwall by Oasis. And we all know that Oasis are and we're not allowed to be anywhere near anything Album Armageddon.
Well, it's taken 4 episodes till they got mentioned, so...
Yeah, I can't... There's even there's going to be a poster on the show notes. There's even a video where someone has joined the 2 songs of Wonderwall. I don't know how we're going to post it, because we can't post Oasis, because...
No.
They're dicks.
It's against our internal policy. No.
And that comes from corporate, so we can't go ahead with that. I mean, we want to show it, but we just can't. But they're not allowed anywhere near Album Armageddon, and they remind me of that song, so before the Labotomy it is.
Bin! Yeah.
Excellent.
And next up, number 5. Are We the Waiting versus Christian's Inferno. Are We the Waiting is a self-monologue where Jesus Surburbia tells us about his current state. It's a slow-paced song with pounding drums that with its lyrics showcases how a main character is starting to lose his mind in the loneliness of the city he has run to, as if the last 2 songs haven't told us that already. Christian is one of the 2 reoccurring characters that feature on 21st Century Breakdown. Armstrong told Q Magazine that the title of the song refers to the sort of ugliest place you could possibly go to in your brain. I don't know if I was having a bad morning, but it's the angry feeling of despair that I guess a lot of people can relate to. Green Day has come out and said that it's arguably one of the most angriest, hateful, and diabolic songs that they have ever written. So, with that in mind, Rob, what's your thoughts?
Right, so, much like the last episode, I had a slight problem with my grammar, and I didn't realise that there was a comma in the word Christians, and I thought they were burning Christians. But then I realised there wasn't, and I also have to confess that it wasn't until much later, because I was just listening to these tracks for the tracks. I didn't look at any backstory or anything. I didn't realise that there was any sort of concept going on here. So my notes on Christian's Inferno are: who is Christian, and has he done something wrong with his barbecue? So Christian's Inferno, it's an okay song. I didn't like the chorus. That's it, basically. And Are We the Waiting? I've got a nice. Oh, I liked the sort of reverb effect on his voice in this one. I quite liked that. It was giving it a bit more dimension, a little bit. But again, it's just an obvious crowd sing along. I mean, just stop trying to pack hits into everything. It's like, here's an album, record company. You just pick which. They're all singles. Just pick which single. We haven't put anything particularly, apart from Jesus of Suburbia, which you'll never sell as a single. But of the 2, Christian's Inferno entertained me slightly more, probably because of my own lack of research. But I thought, yes, that was, of the 2, the better song, Christian's Inferno.
Okay. Cath, what is your thoughts on the man with the bad barbecue, or people waiting for those burgers?
Waiting. I feel that these tracks are polar opposites to each other. So, Are We the Waiting hated the drums at the beginning. Awful stadium arena song. Did not like it at all. Are We the Waiting Unknown. Makes no sense. Shit songwriting. Awful song. No. Just no. Christian's Inferno, I kind of wish that I also thought of it as someone's barbecue going on. But this one, ace drumming intro. Loved it. Really high energy, interesting, slightly industrial sounding, great beat and dark feel to the song. They kind of resumed the disappointing musical style of most of the other songs on the album. The lyrics were kind of repetitive and not very interesting, but I kind of like that, just a high energy vibe to it. So Christian's Inferno gets my vote.
Okay, so 2 for Christian. Stu, are you still waiting for your burger, or are you helping put the fire out on the barbecue?
I'm conflicted over these 2 songs, because to me, I'm a bit like, I don't really like either of them. but I have to pick one of them.
Yeah.
With that said, and that was a bit of a downside, I'm trying to be the positive one in the group here. Right, so yeah, the first one, okay. I know what you're saying, Rob. Why'd you have to pack in hits and hits? If I was a songwriter and I could write hit after hit after hit, I would. I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I would just keep on doing it, and then the record company can release what they want, and I can just, cash big bank. That's it. Be done. Maybe that's the way they want to do it. I don't know. I don't know why that's really a bad thing in a sense, because they are very produced and created pop punk. American punk band, they are. Now I don't know whether they're a part of a talent show. They all got together, or they were actually a punk band when they actually were in school or whatever. I don't know. So while waiting, yeah, it's a typical anthem sing along. However, the drums sounds like when you hear drum techs testing their drums, like there's the tom, I'll be just tuning the tom or tuning. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what they're just tuning up all the drums. Right, okay, now we're going to go. It's a lot slow. It's a lot slower paced than the other songs. So I mean, you could argue the point of, okay, at least it's a different style now to the other songs on the album. So therefore, it's a bit more interesting, that one. Christian Inferno. What did I put? I put a nice bass distortion. Yeah, very industrial kind of thing. It's got a lot of energy in there. But when it starts to get going, it is like Cath said. It's just like a typical Green Day song, which obviously there's a market for that, and a lot of people like that. So who am I to complain about it? But but for me, it just didn't really do anything, that one. There was a nice guitar break, and remember, I don't really like guitar breaks, but it's not actually a solo, which I thought was quite interesting. But it's when they get into the chorus and when they start singing Christian's Inferno, it just, please stop. Just stop singing the same lyric over and over and over and over again. So, my vote. I'm going to go Christian Inferno. Only because it had a slightly more interesting beginning, and the Stadium one. I don't knock them for releasing or writing hits after hits. I mean, if I could, I would. It's simple as that, really. So who am I to complain about that? So yeah, Christian Inferno for me.
Okay, so for me, that's pretty much what you guys have said. I mean, the drums, it's a slow. It is. Now you mentioned it, it's like the drum tech. It actually does remind me of that now when you're at the gig and it's just like, dum, 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 dum. It's a bit of a tongue twister of a shit chorus as well. But I've seen that live as well, and that really works live when the crowd are singing that. Because that is the crowd's bit. Are we are the waiting. That's what the crowd's saying. But yeah, it's a cheap lyric, isn't it? It's not clever in any shape or form. But while we're talking about not clever fucking choruses, it's Christian's Inferno. Ooh.
Yeah.
And fucking repeat that. And what are you going to say next, Blue Joe? I think I might just say Christian's Inferno ooh again.
It's the way that he says it, though. Christian's Inferno.
I thought the ooh bit was he'd burnt his fingers on the barbecue.
Yeah, well, this is it. Now that you mentioned the barbecue, that's all I got going through. He's like he's burning his fingers. Ooh, it's like the flames are getting higher.
Put those Christians out.
But I really think it's Green Day meets the Misfits at this point as well, because it's kind of like really influenced by them. The vocal delivery on the verses is good, even it's got the most fucking repetitive chorus. My rock loving self, like stadium rock self, wants to go with Are We the Way In, but my punk loving self wants to lean more towards Christian's Inferno.
Is it Napalm Death worthy?
Well, this is it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, my actual vote here was Are We the Way In, but I don't think it's worthy enough to Napalm Death card. I don't like Christian. I don't like the Christian's Inferno. I don't like that. That was actually, it was what put me off voting for that. But I don't like Are We the Waiting enough to. Yeah, it's. I'm going with Are We the Waiting as a lost vote, but I'm not Napalm Death in it.
It's never a lost vote. It's on record.
Okay, so next up we have St. Jimmy versus Last Night on Earth, and this marks a pivotal point in good old Jesus' Surburbia story arc. St. Jimmy abruptly cuts the previous song, Are We the Waiting? It works so well when you listen to both of them together, and it shows how Jesus of Suburbia has officially gone off the deep end, and Jesus of Suburbia now manifests his rage into a new identity. He has now created a dual personality called St. Jimmy, of all the fucking names he could pick. The previous 2 tracks have been slow and thoughtful to reflect Jesus of Suburbia's introspective mental state. However, this track obliterates that melancholy feel, and Jimmy is substantially harder and a faster song, giving it a more of a punk rock feel reminiscent of Green Day's first 2 albums. And for Last Night on Earth, singer Billy Joe Armstrong explained to Q magazine that Christian's Inferno is like a subway ride to hell, and you kind of end up back in outer space with Last Night on Earth. Singer and bassist Mike Dern added it's the most unapologetic love song they've written. Not quite sure that's true. This song is a piano-led number, and Armstrong learned the piano before recording 21st Century Breakdown, and a lot of the songs were written on it, which kind of makes sense now. Bassist Mike Dern told The Sun in April 2009, there are parts of this record which are the most melodic thing that we've ever written. Not sure that's a good thing, Mike. But yeah, that's the 2 songs. Where are we looking now? I'm looking at these pain faces. Stu, what are your thoughts?
St. Jimmy, it's a very oi oi song, very modern punk sounding, well produced, college radio, just paint by numbers, pop punk song. It's, in that sense, it's just run of the mill. Doesn't really do anything for me at all. Last Night on Earth, though, ridiculously Beatles / ELO. It's just a freaking. I hope they're not been sued. I have no idea. I mean, there's a few times they've done things like this in these albums, but this is probably going to go a lot really cool now. But I don't really like the Beatles. I found them very overrated myself. But that's my own personal opinion. I know I'm probably wrong, but I love ELO. So therefore, what I've just said doesn't make any sense. Because if you think about it, they're kind of the same in a way. But I did prefer Last Night on Earth because I don't like that pretend power punk oi oi bullshit. It's just no, you can bugger off. I mean, yeah, people like it. All power to you. It's not for me. So I'm going for Last Night on Earth.
Last Night on Earth. Okay, Cath, is your thoughts leaning one way or the other, or are you still sitting on that fence?
Well, so this Jesus of Suburbia and St. Jimmy are possibly the worst character names I've ever heard. It's just me. I'm still cringing from it. Dreadful. The song itself, the lyrics were quite awful. And some of them, my name is St. Jimmy, I'm a son of a gun, ooh ooh. I'm the one that's from the way outside now, ooh ooh. A teenage assassin executing some... Oh, they're just awful, awful, awful lyrics. And I'm stunned that... And I would say stunned and disappointed, which I would say was probably the worst thing you could say about something, that a 50-year-old man wrote these lyrics. Just what the fuck? On the plus side, I kind of sort of opposite to Stu. I liked that it sounded a bit more sort of skate punk style, and much better than the previous song as well. So I think because they're sort of merged together, the second half of the 2 songs merged together is definitely the stronger half. Last Night on Earth, so piano-led number, love song, very different style. So yeah, it's interesting that they're trying something new. Still not very keen on it though. And the lyrics, again, I'm reading the lyrics, listening to these songs, didn't really make much sense to me. If I lose everything in the fire, I'm sending all my love to you. I was kind of hoping, could you please lose this song in the fire as well, please?
Ooh, throw it on the Barbie.
Yeah, so possibly controversially, I'm going to go for St. Jimmy.
Okay. Robbie, where are you going?
Well, I've been looking up some facts. So what we have to remember is he wasn't 50 when he wrote these. He was about 30 odd, because it was back in 2004.
Right, okay.
So, but still.
It's still old enough to know better.
Exactly. So 3 things happened during this round of these 2 songs. Firstly, I had to take a break for a day because I wanted to reset my ears and come back fresh, because I was going too far down an unpopular feeling about them. And I wanted to come back a bit fresh the next day and say, right, am I going to listen to this in a different way? And the other thing that happened was, so far I'd been picking more tracks off the first American Idiot. And as we've already mentioned, they kept dropping in some nice ideas and then going back to the formula. And then, there's another nice little intro and going back to the formula. Now, I started to shift over to 21st Century American because they were starting to use those good ideas and actually making full songs out of them. So St. Jimmy... first of all, I thought of the 1980s TV program Saint and Greavesy, Jimmy Greaves, but it wasn't about that. And the reason I had to take a day break was because I was listening to it with the mindset of, this is supposed to be punk music. Okay, it's pop punk, but it's supposed to be punk. And the key word that was missing for me was passion. And I'm talking passion in the lyrical delivery. You know, if you're the whole ethos of punk is to be passionate about something, and that was not coming across on these songs. So I started, that was the end of my first day, and I started looking up what other punk bands thought of Green Day's pop leanings. And of course, Sex Pistols hated them, but Sex Pistols hate everybody, especially their mouthpiece Johnny Rotten. No one's popular with him, apart from Lady Gaga apparently. But the Ramones like them, so yeah, their peers weren't slating them across the board. So then I went on to Last Night on Earth, and suddenly I was refreshed, and here come the Beatles. And okay, this is different, and this is okay. I'm going to give it kudos for being like the Beatles. It's a love song. The drummer must have been bored out of his mind that day, having shown some pretty good chops in the track so far. There was one particular inflection on the word fire that I liked the way he sung that. And I thought, okay, here we go. Are we going somewhere else now? And it turned out that we were. So Last Night on Earth was one for me because I liked it, and it also signalled some slightly different things going on in the rest of the album. So, yep, Last Night on Earth.
Excellent. Okay. I think it's interesting. Both of these songs are a change of pace on their respective album. So like St. Jimmy burst through the wall of the ending of I'll Be the Waiting, whilst Last Night on Earth chills out the rage from burning your barbecue. St. Jimmy's full on back to Green Day punk by the numbers for the start of the song, but the ending is very much, I don't want to say musical again, in that it progresses the story character, but you can hear the metamorphosis of the Jesus character. It's got some of the best Green Day lyrics on St. Jimmy, and it's also got some of the worst. I mean, I'm the patron saint of the denial with an angel face and a taste for suicidal. And cigarettes and ramen and a little bag of dope. I'm the son of a bitch and Edgar Allan Poe. And what's the best one that I thought was my name is Jimmy, so don't wear it out. It's like, that's what Billy Joe's mum used to tell him when he used to be calling for it, didn't he? I mean,
that's what I mean about the cringe. It's just awful.
Yeah, Last Night on Earth is something you don't expect from Green Day at all. It's a love song. I fucking detested that song when I first heard it.
Right.
I was like, what the fuck are Green Day doing love songs for? As I got older, though, I've appreciated it more. And it's probably in my top 5 songs. And that slide guitar on it, that's just so good and fits the song so well. So, yeah, for me, it's Last Night on Earth.
Ooh.
Oh, well done.
Okay, next up we have Give Me Novacaine versus East Jesus Nowhere, which was the third single of 21st Century Breakdown. Give Me Novacaine is about Jesus' wanting to take drugs to relieve the stress from his life and asking for reassurance from his alter ego St. Jimmy. The instruments through the song go slow, with the music exploding into the choruses. The lyrics see a lonely Jesus of Suburbia asking for help and then raging with St. Jimmy, who eventually turns to Novacaine to numb the pain. If seen from the perspective of St. Jimmy being a figment of Jesus' imagination, which he clearly is, this song becomes about Jesus trying to suppress his own personality so he can become St. Jimmy, which is the personality he wants to be. East Jesus Nowhere was written by Billy Joe Armstrong after Mike Dirnt went to church to see a French child get baptised. Apparently he was disgusted by the hatred and hypocrisy there.
A French child?
A French child?
Oh, what did you say?
A French child.
Friends.
Oh, sorry.
Friends, a French child.
What was it about French children that appealed
It
to?
was a French
Sorry.
child. It bugged him for a few days, so he asked Billy if he could write an anti-religious song. Billy agreed and wrote this. Armstrong told the Sunday Times, that's where you're going to have a punk band getting an interview, that the track was inspired by the never-ending hypocrisy of religion, all those snake oil salesman types and that subliminal thing of threatening people and ripping away their individuality. The title was also a reference from the 2007 film Juno.
Ah, okay.
Juno.
Yeah.
Juno, where the title's character's mum complains about Juno visiting the couple who will adopt her baby to show her ultrasound. You could have mailed it to them. Why would you drive an hour out to East Jesus Nowhere? As Billy told Kevin and Bean, whoever Kevin and Bean are, the track was originally supposed to be called March of the Dogs, but then he heard Sum 41 had already used the title, and seeing the movie inspired him to give it another name. So, where are we going to go? Cath, what's your feelings on this one?
Give me Novacaine. So I thought it had a nice melody to it. Quite enjoyed the melody, but I thought it was very melodramatic and theatrical. So yeah, not really sure about that one. Also, what the song was about just didn't really do much for me either. The whole sort of alter ego, I'm going to kill off my alter ego. Oh, this is so emo. Didn't really like it.
Emo cells.
I guess it does, yeah. East Jesus Nowhere. So I thought it was, interesting song about the hypocrisy of religion. I also quite like that it's got something of the 70s about it as well. So it's quite sort of jumpy abouty kind of glam rock kind of song. I didn't like they're using the same sort of effect on the backing singing, which I just don't like. So I don't mind people going yay and shouting and stuff, but the effect that they put on it just it just sounds sort of metallic and overproduced, which puts me off. But yeah, it's good when it gets going. I like the sort of the chugga 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 effect. So yeah, quite a nice song. I didn't really like the vocal effect on the prayer bit though. It just felt sort of weird and metallic for no obvious reason. And the slow bit towards the end, not so keen on either. But I guess, again, it's really hard to pick between the two. They both had their good bits and bad bits. But I think perhaps I'm going to go with a more lively song just because I prefer that type of music. So yeah, East Jesus Nowhere for me.
Okay. I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to be okie dokie. Stu, what are your thoughts on the two songs?
Right, so give me Novacaine. Obviously, the subject matter is about suicide, and but I found it musically boring and dull as dishwater, and it's a shame, really, because there was actually some of the lyrics may not hit well, but the meaning behind them, whether they're written good or bad, it's a tough subject, suicide, and obviously all that kind of thing. But I just didn't. The musically just didn't speak to me at all. East Jesus Nowhere. Okay, in my notes, I don't know why I wrote this. Well, obviously I do it for a reason. Great radio static at the start. I can't even remember that. But and with Cath though, we had a chugga chug rating, which I actually quite enjoyed. I like the way they sang the chorus as well, and there was a really nice bass breakdown on the middle eight. I thought so. East Jesus from Nowhere is going to get my and it's purely for just the sound of it more than the. Now I'm completely into bashing religious I'm not an atheist, but I'm not agnostic. You don't believe in anything really in that sense. And I always feel it's good that when they're taking down a peg or two, these organised religions, because I think they need to be. So Is Jesus Nowhere gets my vote.
Excellent. Okay, so 2 for Jesus, and not the one of Surburbia. Rob, what is your feelings on the 2
tracks?
tracks?
Yes.
What 2 Jesuses?
I love a bit of dead air. So here I am back with my latest opinion on $75 million worth Billy Joe Armstrong's latest efforts.
Yeah.
Like he cares what I think, and quite rightly so. So give me Novacaine. At that point, I realised, well, isn't this supposed to be a power trio? So I realised the guitars were too jangly in the heavy parts for me, and there wasn't enough bottom end from the bassist. And if I want my power trios to be powerful sounding, I didn't like. So, Give Me Novacaine is very mellow part, loud part, mellow part, loud part. And that didn't work for me. I heard it 1,000 times with 1,000 different bands, and it can be done really well, but it just felt forced, that one. I don't know if they'd been listening to the early 2000s metal dynamic of quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, and trying to do that. But yeah, no, didn't work for me. East Jesus Nowhere, which I originally thought was called Eat Jesus Nowhere, which I thought was good advice. You shouldn't be eating Jesus anywhere. I was very surprised pleasantly by this song. And I begrudgingly said I almost nearly like this one a bit. It just, all the ingredients I'd heard so far, they just put them all in the right places, dialed down the cheese, gave me an inoffensive hook. I liked the overlaid guitar on it, and I also liked the fact that there was a bit of an Eastern mode towards the end of the track as well, which was good. Much more like it, and so far, my favourite track of both albums so far.
Ooh.
Yes. So I thought, East Jesus Nowhere, here we go. Are we kicking in now? So that one gets my vote.
Excellent. Give Me Novacaine was, let's make this clear, was one of my favourite Green Day songs ever. I felt that it's one of their most underrated songs. It doesn't get played live. It wasn't a single, so it doesn't get the airplay that it did. I love the drum beat, and I think it's the drum beat that does it for me on Novacaine. It's just chilled out, but it drags the song along.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the quiet, soft. It's like, where do you want to go, Billy? Pick one and let's go with it. Which I think they did more on 21st Century Breakdown. They started quiet, punch it in, and keep it punched in. East Jesus Nowhere, however, I love the guitar chops, but no, it actually isn't guitar chops at all. It's fucking chugga chugs.
I love them chugga chugs.
The chugga chugs in the intro, I just love them. And the chorus really gets stuck in your head as well. Simple guitar solos that are enjoyable. It's like they've stripped it back, trying to keep everything simple, put it together, and it works. Is it exceptional? No, don't think it is. Is it great? No. However, there is a fucking amazing performance of this song on Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell providing more cowbell.
That's what you want.
Oh, wow.
And every song needs more cowbell.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's also going to be East Jesus Nowhere.
Oh, full sweep on that as
clean
well.
sweep.
Yeah.
Well done.
And that's where we're going to leave it for this episode. This one is becoming a bit of a monster length-wise, and as such, we're going to go and hit pause on it. So that just leaves us with asking you, the listeners, to share this episode to everyone you know and leave those 5-star reviews on your podcast platform of choice to help us reach as many people as possible and to wish you all well. And see you again next time for the conclusion of Green Day Album Armageddon. Say bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.